of 2025. It is an honor and a privilege to stand before you this afternoon. Not only was I selected to be the speaker at my own Black graduation at the University of Washington in Seattle in 2009, I also, like most of you all, arrived here at Dartmouth in the fall of 2021 as a new professor in the Sociology and African American Studies departments. So despite our different roles, mine as faculty and yours as students, we have both spent the last 4 years immersing ourselves into the unique Dartmouth community. You all will forever be the first class that I got to meet and experience from new student orientation during your first year through today's graduation during your senior year. As a scholar trained in sociology and the Black feminist tradition, I profoundly agree with the age-old proverb that experience is the best teacher. In fact, Black feminist sociologists have established a concept called standpoint epistemology, which draws attention to the distinct ways of being and knowing that Black people create as a result of our unique lifestyles and cultures. Each of you have a particular standpoint, and today I want to emphasize that as you transition away from the Upper Valley and the Big Green, and you begin the next chapters of your lives, never forget that your standpoint is your superpower. No one can do what you are called to do better than you, because what is for you is for you. Amen. There are three strategies that I will discuss today that I would like for you all to take with you as you enter into the next stage of adulthood. And those are to remember, to reflect, and to refuse. Yeah. First, you must remember. Memory is a powerful practice. It forces you to recall pleasant experiences when you need a sense of joy and comfort, and to reflect on negative experiences in order to stimulate transformation and growth. As you soak in this graduation season, take time to remember how hard you worked in high school to make yourself competitive to get in as a college applicant and to get into an Ivy League school. Remember the sacrifices that your parents, your family, your friends, and your partners made to support your academic goals and dreams. Remember whether you are here as a descendant of American slavery or as a product of immigration. You are your ancestors' wildest dreams. Yes. I also charge you to remember your times here at Dartmouth. Remember turning up at the Chokes during the frat band in your first year. Remember running around the bonfire during your first homecoming. Remember hanging out at the Oval Office when you probably should have been studying. Remember studying hard, or maybe hardly studying, at FFB. Remember late nights at FOCO. Remember checking out the Winter Carnival festivities, even though I know y'all didn't take the plunge. Remember updating the layup list with your favorite or maybe not so favorite classes. Remember taking your professors to Pine just to chat, or maybe to try to suck up and get that class over the median. Remember that feeling when you saw your friend working at Novak and you knew they was gonna get you the home dinner. And remember trying to make your swipes last all the way to week 9 and 10. Ooh. And even remember having to clap back at some of them racist students on Fizz. Remember begging your spring professors to hold class on the green on sunny days. And lastly, remember this day, being in this room with the folks who are sitting next to you, and the sense of pride you are currently feeling, knowing that you did it. Every lecture, every X hour, every midterm, every final exam, every research paper, every group project. And mind you, this was all during the first few years post-COVID, when new institutional policies were being released daily that significantly impacted and changed our academic, social, and community cultures. So if no one else has told you all yet, let me be the first. Class of 2025, you did that. Each of these experiences shaped not only your college experience, but the outlook through which you will view the world moving forward. I'm sure that most of us here today are familiar with the West African Ghanaian term Sankofa. This Bedrinka symbol from the Akan tribe is often symbolized by a bird with its head turned backward, but sometimes it is artistically depicted as a heart with added spirals at the top and at the bottom. The Sankofa symbol has many different philosophical yet instructive interpretations, such as go back and get it, or reach back and move forward. But my personal favorite is the phrasing, you can't know where you are going until you know where you came from. This interpretation exemplifies why cultivating individual and collective memories are necessary. As you celebrate the major accomplishment of graduating college, an Ivy League college, clock it. I want you to remember all that you have overcome. Remember who have helped you. Remember who and what distracted you. And most importantly, remember you are now on the other side, and you get to decide how you can help and not distract those who are coming behind you. Second, you must reflect. Reflection is political. It is the root of a Black critical consciousness. Reflection is intended to be critical as well as disruptive. While on TikTok, they might still be saying we listen and we don't judge. When it comes to the process of reflecting, we listen and we do judge. We must judge our surroundings, we must judge our leaders, and most importantly, we must judge ourselves. The philosophers have warned us that change is the only constant thing in this life. So always push yourself to pursue change and pursue evolution. Take time to reflect not just on how you came into college, but also on who you want to be and what type of impact you want to make moving forward. Know that reflection can look many different ways. Find a way that makes sense to you. Reflect with poetry. Reflect in community, whether digitally or in person. Reflect with wine, but not too much. Reflect with music. Reflect in church. Reflect through travel. Reflect through writing. Many opt to reflect through writing. This was certainly the case for Ida B. Wells Barnett. And for those of you who've had a chance to take a class with me, work on a research project with me, or even just visit my office, you already know a thing or two about the woman who inspires me most, and I call my personal queen. And fun fact, her great-granddaughter, Michelle Duster, is also a Black Dartmouth alum, class of '85. Most known for her cultural criticisms of American racism, Ida B. used her profound writing skills to call out how Black communities were being neglected and unprotected in the special column of her newspaper that she owned and ran. This ultimately earned her the nickname Princess of the Press. Her influence and intellect were so powerful that she went on to spearhead a transnational anti-lynching campaign, hoping to reveal and end the horrific domestic terrorist practice of lynching that was abundant in the US South. Reflection was a major part of the political work Ida B. Wells committed herself to. One biography even notes that Wells set out to find the truth by investigating every lynching she could. For months, she went through newspaper accounts, went to the scenes of lynchings, and interviewed eyewitnesses. All in all, she researched and reflected on the circumstances of 728 lynchings. And this was in the late 1800s, y'all. There was no buses, there was no recordings. She did this on her own with the technology and resources at that time. Ida embodied the Sankofa spirit I mentioned earlier. She understood that she needed to know what had happened and reflect on those circumstances before she could try and propose a solution to the problem. After reflecting on all that she had learned through her research, she even wrote in her diary, "I have firmly believed all along that the law was on our side and would, when we appealed to it, give us justice. But I feel shorn of that belief and utterly discouraged. And just now, if it were possible, I would gather my race in my arms and fly far away with them." Her reflection produced disappointment and doubt in the American government's willingness to do right by Black American people. Nonetheless, this reflection also led her to pivot in her political organizing and resistance. She boldly named the inequality Black communities face and proudly declared, "The government deserves to be criticized, and I'd rather go down in history as one Negro who dared to tell the government that it had done a dastardly thing than to save my skin by taking back what I had said." Ida B. Wells demonstrates for us the significance of taking the time and creating space to reflect. Reflection is rich with insights that are necessary if we want to collectively move forward. Because she was intentional about reflection, Ida B. was able to write us toward justice and not just away from anti-Black racism. For this reason, she is known in history as the queen of our race. I want you all to be audacious like Ida. Reflect so that your contributions to society and to our community will not only disrupt inequality, but also promote Black liberation. Finally, you must refuse. Refusal recognizes that as Black folks, we were never even supposed to be in this country, let alone speaking this language. And yet, here we all are. Here you are, class of 25, sitting in this room, having earned a world-class higher educational degree. You don't need to wonder what it means to refuse because you are already doing it. I am just here to encourage you to keep refusing. Seek opportunities to refuse as you go into your new workplaces and communities and as you navigate society. In this current socio-political moment, our history is under attack. Our academic institutions are under attack. Knowledge production is under attack. Ultimately, our Black existence is under attack. And as a sociologist, I can tell you that there are vast consequences to these things. We live in a country that refuses to address a social problem if there is not significant data and research to prove that it is a problem in the first place. In other words, marginalized communities have always been burdened with the work of proving when, how, and how often we have been harmed by racial and capitalistic systems of oppression. This task becomes increasingly difficult to do if faculty of color are being pushed off campuses, if they're being prevented from teaching courses that cover racial histories, and if they're being denied funding for research that examines such subjects. But in the words of Bone Crusher, who I think y'all might be a little too young to remember his music, I ain't never scared. I ain't never scared. Why? Because you all are now a part of this highly educated cohort of our community. According to the American Council of Education, only 23.4%, about 1 in every 4 people in the overall American population, has earned a bachelor's degree. When we look specifically at the Black community though, this number drops to 17.3%, or about 1 in every 6 people. As you now join these ranks, know that it does come with the responsibility to use your new intellectual, communication, and technological skills to advocate for those around you who cannot advocate for themselves. Refusal, as a strategy, positions you to do this. We must refuse to let others delete or alter our history and our stories. We must refuse the lie that how our community has been treated in the past has no impact on the present, because we all know that it very much does. We must refuse pressure to reduce our diverse and dynamic cultural practices and expressions to fit into a prototypical, respectable Blackness. Refusal requires us to engage in what Black feminist sociologist Patricia Hill Collins calls self-definition and self-valuation. She argues that these processes offer a powerful challenge to the externally defined controlling images of African American people and culture. Self-definition and self-valuation are forms of refusal because they actually question some of the basic ideas used to control and dominate groups. Ultimately, self-definition and self-valuation resist Black dehumanization, creating opportunities for us to not just survive, but for us to thrive. We can also look to your fellow Black Dartmouth alum, Shaonta Rhimes, to understand refusal. In her book, Year of Yes, where she discusses transitioning into a new season in her life and pursuing happiness along the way, she states, there is no list of rules for how to do this. There is one rule, and that rule is there are no rules. Happiness comes from living as you need to, as you want to, as your inner voice tells you to. Happiness comes from being who you actually are, instead of who you think you are supposed to be. Normalize your lives, people. Don't apologize, don't explain, don't ever feel less than. Be your own narrator and go for the happy ending. One foot in front of the other, you will make it. And that's where your big sis, Shaonta Rhimes. This is the power of refusal. While refusal might initially seem like it's a process that inhibits or stalls motion, upon deeper reflection, we can see that for us, young, gifted, and Black folks, and yes, I said us because I'm still young too, but for those of us that are young, gifted, and Black, refusal is not limiting, it is capacious and emancipatory. Some might think refusal is about saying no, but just as Shaonta Rhimes' book suggests, refusal is actually about saying yes. It's just we are saying yes to a question or a goal that we've set for ourselves, rather than a socially constructed standard or expectation that was set for us. Refusal leads to a choice. Refusal develops our capacity. Refusal is freedom. So graduates, your time at Dartmouth is drawing to a close, and your next experience is about to be born. As you prepare to turn your tassels on Sunday, know that as new seasons begin, others will end. And as they do, I encourage you to remember the experiences, reflect on the lessons learned, and refuse limitations that others try to place on you, and even the ones that you might sometimes try to place upon yourself. You are powerful beyond measure. With the wisdom from your unique standpoints, along with your soon-to-be conferred Ivy League degree, may you remain confident and embody the words of the good prophet Kendrick Lamar. Sometimes you gotta pop out and what? No, sometimes you gotta pop out and show them, exactly. And so, show them who you are. Show them what you can do. Now, I already know that y'all are currently focused on trying to get to where the money resides, but wherever your path takes you, don't be afraid to take up space, because you've earned the right to do just that. In 2020, you were chosen by the Dartmouth Admissions Committee. From 2021 to 2025, you were equipped with the skills to make informed yet critical decisions. And now, from 2025 beyond, you must refuse, because refusal lays the possibilities and pathways towards our collective flourishing and Black liberation. You are no longer a voice crying out in the wilderness. You are now ready to take on the world. Again, I encourage you to remember where you came from, to reflect on what you've been through, and to refuse anything that attempts to stop you from achieving the greatness that you are destined to achieve. Congratulations to you all, the 2025 class of Dartmouth Black grads. On behalf of Black faculty, Black administrators, and Black staff, we are so, so proud of what you've accomplished and the impact that you've made on this campus. We cannot wait to see what you will do and how you will refuse in the future. Thank you.